events where heart-led visionary leaders create legacy of impact and income through the channel of entrepreneurship and do more good in the world. You will get access to all our amazing speakers today and walk away with great wisdom and inspiration so that you can level up yourself and your business to the next level. All right, Legacy Builders, welcome back to another summit. I hope you're doing well. I'm back with you in another amazing summit and another amazing lineup for our guest speakers today. And today we're going to focus our conversation around leveling up and really understanding how to be a purposeful entrepreneur and business leader and align your profit with your purpose as well. So thanks so much again for joining me here at the Life School. We help visionary leaders grow legacy purpose-driven businesses through inner alignment, branding, marketing, sales, systems, and team, so they can do more good in the world. And of course, because we are a community, our vision here is to empower CEOs to realize their life's purpose through legacy entrepreneurship. Our mission is to become the most influential global community in purposeful entrepreneurship, in impacting the world to become a better place. And then lastly, our values are community connection, service, growth, freedom, and contribution. Again, thanks so much for joining me. Wherever you're watching this summit live, feel free to join us in the chat. If you have any questions, we'll take those at the end of the summit as well, that you might have around the topics that we will be talking about, and also so you can ask our amazing guest speakers today as well. So without further ado, I'm going to bring in all our speakers to our virtual stage. Welcome, everybody. Such a pleasure to have everyone here. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you so much for your time. So I'm going to start with my first speaker so that we jump right into the amazing content today. Beata Zdanoska. Beata, thank you so much for coming on. Looking forward to having you back here at the Life School platform. And if you could start with an introduction, Beata, what is it that you do?
My goodness. Hello, everyone. Hello, ladies. Welcome. Great to see you here. Great to be here. It's an honor. It's a pleasure. I think it's the first time I've actually been with Elona. So thank you. It's an honor. So what do? I am a life coach. I work with individuals. I love working one-on-one with people um, who are really focused on upgrading their own selves, to start businesses, to lead businesses, to have emotional intelligence intact, to feel the self-worth, to feel the self-value. Because especially for women, we come from places where we do not really feel the value as what we are and who we are and what we represent, but we try to fit a crowd that we are working with or for or around. So my work is really focused on the self, on the conscious choices, on the conscious living, on building the personal power for women especially, so we feel strong, so we feel aligned with our messages, so we feel aligned internally between the intelligence and the heart and the soul, between the energy, that is central to our work. Like, who are we really, and who are we becoming as women in this market, in this world, in the business that we are, that creates that leadership. Who are we asking to follow us? What are we building? So I work with individual women. I work with women to build their personal power, but I also work with men lately. And it's really surprises me how many men behind the mask of I have to be the strong person and I cannot talk about my feelings and emotions and display them to the world because that equals weakness. How many men are actually struggling with their internal emotional life? So
Yeah.
it's a real honor, it's a real privilege to actually see the growth that everyone asking for and waiting for. And when invited to this kind of conversation, it really opens up a different door, and it really opens up a different set of possibilities, and different set of skills and different set of eyes. Really, eyes. I call this my eyes behind the head. What I couldn't see before, and I can see now. You
Yeah.
know, of the conversations that we go in the middle of. So anyway, it's a long introduction to to what I do, because I feel like it's
I
so
was
much,
I
so
was
much
gonna ask you.
capable of
I love
doing.
you. The power. I love all the work that you do. I've actually been, as you know, connected on social media profiles. I know your content is amazing, but yeah, I mean, I think it's so powerful to really help people discover their personal power, right? That inner power, as you called it. And I'm also very happy that the male counterparts are joining in this effort to really rediscover ourselves, because society is made, right, of both parties. So I can attest to that as well. And you're in the right place, because we're all conscious leaders that are very aligned in our personal growth. And we know that the more we personally understand our power as leaders, the more our companies will grow. It's just connected, it's just aligned. So, yeah, absolutely. So, Beata, give me I guess, a few steps or a framework that maybe you have developed over time with your clients that can help our audience to kind of get those steps in place to discovering our personal power, or if we have discovered it, to kind of stay aligned with it, because I know that's another challenge. Once you discover that and you discover your purpose, then it's like, how do I stay aligned with that through the ups and downs, the involvement, the growth, the challenges of growing our companies as well in this journey?
So as I said, it's all about alignment, and I use human design and gene keys. I use systems. I use systems that help people to discover themselves as of a natural build of what we are capable of, and the gifts that we actually have. And through using the human design, I help people to really internalize and externalize the intuitive knowing of who we actually are, and and where our strengths come from. Oftentimes we work with um, companies, we lead based on what we were told to do, based on what we think, what the intelligence says is the right way to do, and we really um, we neglect our own intuition. We neglect our own internal compass to know if the decision is right or wrong for me. If I cannot understand my own um, internal system, if I cannot connect with the values that I represent, then it will be very hard for me to help others do that. It will be very hard for me to sort of build something bigger and round and around a company. Um, so what I do with people, what I do with my clients that come to work with me, is to really learn how to read my own body, my own alignment between my the intellect, between the head and the heart, and the gut knowing, the gut intuition. So it is breath work, it is mindfulness work, it is connecting with really recognizing where is my mindset. If I really connect with the growth of my mindset, how am I connected to the past experiences, and how am I learning from the mistakes, because mistakes are part of a learning lesson. Oftentimes we take it as self-criticism, and we don't really build confidence based on lessons. And it's, especially for women, the harder work to do, to just accept part of the process of making mistakes as the learning steps. So connecting through this work with the personal value. We all represent a certain value as human beings. We are very individual, we're very unique. Do we really connect with this uniqueness? Or do we just follow the cookie cutter process of this is the leader that they want, that they want me to be? Or is it, or am I connecting with, my uniqueness and my special value that I represent, with my skills, with my past, with my experiences, with my with whatever happened, in a past work? Can I create my world based on my strongest skills? How is my mindset supporting my skills?
Yeah.
How do my beliefs support my mindset? What do I hold on to versus what am I, is it easy for me to let go of something? Is that flexibility, building that flexibility for me, will also allow me to be the leader for others, to see, that we are it's plasticity of the human mind and the human skill and the human body, that we can connect together the uniqueness of who we are as individuals, and find the niche, and how we can mold this into one big coherent stream
Mhm.
and power, and create certain movement, and create something around, what we represent as individuals together. How can we
Yeah.
create a bigger value around our individual uniqueness?
Yeah.
Connect the dots, connect it together, and create a movement that other souls can feel relatable. Yeah, all we do is we try to relate to each other. We are unique, but yet we have similar wants and needs, right? We experience similar feelings and emotions. Our intelligence is extremely important, but emotional intelligence always will lead through the intellectual intelligence.
Yeah, I would like you to end right there because oh my gosh, there's so much wisdom and nuggets that you just shared, and I could see the passion behind your work, where it's like you want to downpour all the amazing information for people to know, because there's so much that we don't actually know in this area. It is so true. But I love that you also shared that you have systems. You have the human design system to help you and help people kind of discover all these things, and also the gene keys, which I personally been introduced to as well. So I know how powerful both of those are. Thank you so much, Beata. I'm definitely going to come to
Thank
back
you.
to you at the end. Thank you so much for all the amazing introduction and also wisdom you just shared in such a short amount of time. Moving on to my amazing next speaker. I'm moving on to Mari Mendez. Mari, thank you so much for coming on. And I would love to ask you a few of the most meaningful moments that you could share with us that led you to the work that you're doing today. If you could share that with us, please. Oh, Mari, I cannot hear you. Um, Something with the audio.
There you go. Yes, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. And you asked me what led me to do the work I do. Well, I have to say it was my oldest daughter. My oldest daughter had a lot of um, issues with her in her life, and she had gone through three different mental health therapists, not taking their power away, but they had not even been able to get through her. One day, she came and asked for help, and she came and asked for help because someone at school recommended her to go to an energy healer, and I did blindly, and the miracles were so immediately noticeable that I started practicing on when to take the sessions myself to see what's really going on behind the scenes. And that began a journey of self healing. I was healing myself, my my I am, and that's how I started um, a journey that progressed into the work I do right now because I love to share my experiences with people that are in the same situation that I was before. And that doesn't take away that I am still walking this journey and learning. I'm just 2, 3 steps ahead of them. And that is what brought me here. It was the transformation that I saw in my daughter, the ability and the power that I gained by being able to heal what I thought were real traumas, because we have perceived traumas, but then I also what my my real traumas were. And as I healed, I became more empowered, I became more confident, I became um, happier, very happy. And then a lot of positive things started happening in my life.
I love asking that question because it always unveils the why. Why is it that you're doing the work that you're doing? So I love how it all started with that personal experience of your daughter as well.
Yes.
So Ari, based on sort of what you have learned and what you now seen, obviously with maybe so many more people that you're helping with this journey of healing, what are some of the things that you have seen sort of repeat as patterns that you could share with us as well? If someone can maybe use that advice or use the experience that you've been through or the other people that you've been helping, if they're maybe in this healing journey themselves as well.
Well, with that, a lot of things that happen is that we are all taught that we all know we need to be responsible, but not a lot of people, the majority of the world, the humanity does not assume the responsibility. We like to point fingers. And the healing process requires a lot of self responsibility, even if you are not the person who started the problem or the situation or the condition. But assuming that responsibility, owning whatever percentage of it. A few times I've heard other thought teachers say that we have some kind of percentage, and one person said once that at least 1% we're responsible for. So if we all assume that 1% of responsibility, then to be honest, everything in the world will start around you will start changing, because once you start assuming responsibility for what you do, for what you think about yourself or about others, then your energy starts shifting, you start elevating yourself, and you start emanating a different type of energy out there that people respond differently, even though you haven't worked on them or they haven't done their work. You have worked, they're responding to what you're bringing out. So assuming responsibility and leaving the victimhood mentality is very important.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think those are even things that I have personally seen in my journey towards healing certain things. And I know that I don't think you ever heal 100% completely. I think it's that journey of self-discovery that you're always going through, whatever new level and phase and stage that you are maybe growing towards, whether again, it's a new level in your business, it's a new level or a new challenge that has come out, you have kind of encountered in your personal relationship or life or health or all these other areas of life. So I think it's definitely something that is always continuing, and it's so important to take a look at those things that are holding us back, because they can show up in the life that we want to create. So I love the work you do, and it's definitely such a powerful mission to help other people through this journey as well. So thank you so much for sharing it so far.
Thanks.
Beautiful. Thanks so much again, Mari. And moving on to my third guest speaker today, Tara. Tara, I hope I'm not going to butcher your last name.
Oh, don't worry, it's Garrity. It does not look at all like it sounds.
Welcome, Tara. The same question. You can share a few of the most meaningful moments. I'll let you hear.
Yeah, and thank you so much for inviting me to be here. I'm just getting to know you and the beautiful work that you do. So thank you. And when you said your daughter, I thought, well, we're now besties, because that is exactly what led me. And isn't it usually the people who are closest to us that change our lives, right? Those deep reactions. So I was in a completely different career path. I had gotten into direct sales. I was headed down a completely different road. And then within a matter of a year, I found myself in a domestic violence divorce, and my only daughter had high risk stage 4 cancer. And that season of my life completely changed everything. It changed me. It changed how I view the world, and it ended up what I was doing with my life. My daughter's now 17, so I always have to preface that she is alive and healthy, and she is a miracle child. We're getting ready for college, which is crazy. But what it did was I utilized tools and resiliency in a way during that season that I never had to before. And now what I do I have founded the Hey Girl You Can community, and it's a community of women who want to grow themselves to grow their business. Because it really comes down to that idea that the way we do one thing is the way we do everything, right? And we can't be successful in business if we're not successful in life. And really understanding the power of gratitude. We work with gratitude work. We work with building resiliency, building leadership. How do you just show up and do life? And how do you do life when everybody around you and everything around you is chaos and, crazy? And most of us kind of end up in a place we didn't anticipate to be, right? If you're over 30, you probably sometimes wake up and go, how did I end up here? This isn't where I thought I would be. And so how do we really reclaim that power back so that, during that time with going through, can you imagine waking up with somebody who really has wants to kill you every day, right? And then you've got cancer, which wants to kill your daughter every day. How do you not become super reactive in life? How do you kind of step back and say, okay, I need to take my power back. I need to be able to respond when you're not feeling like you're in control of everything. And so that's a lot of the work that we do, because when we become the star of our life, when we become responsive in life and we claim our power back, now we can build businesses. Now we can live our purpose. Now we can leave an impact and significance in other areas of our life. So, but it was that season, of course, that just shifted my outlook on everything.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Those challenges, we never ask for them, but when they do come to us, there's always the light at the end of the tunnel of why we actually are overcoming them, or they're coming on our way. So I think it's definitely something that I've also learned personally in my life experience, to just embrace and kind of see what's that light at the end of the tunnel. So Tara, but based on your work, I love the community that you've also built. So I'd love to ask you a little bit around some of the things that have helped you become a good community connector, because I think community is at the heart of everything we do today. And maybe some expertise or knowledge around your experience could help our audience as well. But most importantly, if someone finds themselves in that situation that you mentioned, based on your personal story, what are some things that now, obviously, you've overcome it, and what is some advice that you can give them in steps, so to speak, for them to start that process of regaining some control and kind of dealing with that situation and overcoming it?
Really reclaiming our power. And I agree. I think community is huge. Community counts. And I was saying that in today's world, community is the new currency. We used to talk about your network is your net worth. Well, it's really your community. Community is your currency. It matters. And we need to invest in our community. So I think there's 2 tips to really, if you find yourself where you're the puppet and everybody else is pulling your strings, right? You need to do 2 quick things that are hacks to kind of reclaim your power. So the first is a gratitude practice. Hands down, this is the most life-changing practice. And because it seems so simple, we don't do it. It seems so simple that it should be insignificant. And yet I believe it is the most significant thing of all. Somebody was just talking about our energy, and our highest vibrational work is love. And our second is gratitude. So simply the action of sitting down every night and writing the things that we're grateful for helps us reshift our mindset and start to say, okay, where am I powerful? Where are there good things happening in my life? So that's the first one. It's simple, but because it's so simple, we can't overlook it. And the second is a really quick method. I'm going to teach you super quick how to become the star in your life. Would you love that if you never reacted again and you always were I'm in control? So to be the star, you have to do 4 things. STAR. Okay. So the first is when something happens, we have to stop, because instantly we want to react to situations. We want to react to people. We want to react to circumstances. So the very first thing to take our power back is to stop. I have to stop for a second. And the second is I need to think. I can't just let my mind go crazy with all these thoughts about what this means, what this person is doing, I'm all of a sudden making up a story in my head, right? We do this all the time. We make up stories about what happened. So the next thing I need to do is I need to really think for a second. And in that thinking, the A is I need to acknowledge that maybe there's other versions of the story other than the one that I just came up with. Okay. You pick up the phone and somebody's short with you and they hang up, and we make up a story in our head of, oh, that person doesn't like me. They don't want my products. They don't want my services, whatever. Somebody doesn't respond to you. They start ghosting you. We make up a story. They don't like me. They think I'm stupid. They were, whatever. Usually our stories go negative about ourselves, right? So we have to stop, think, and acknowledge, could there be another version of the story other than the one I just made up? So could it be I called that person and they were short with me and hung up, but it was because they were in the middle of a fight and an argument with their spouse or their kid, and I just caught them at a bad time, and it had nothing to do with me. They just couldn't talk. Could it be that that person ghosted me because they are embarrassed that maybe they don't have the money for my services, and so that's why they're not calling me back, right? Like, what are the other stories? Can I acknowledge there's other versions? And when we do that, then it brings us to the R, which is now acknowledging there's lots of other versions. How do I want to respond? How do I want to respond to the situation? And if I'm practicing gratitude, then I can usually respond with grace. And then you become the star. So I hope that just quick thing, next time you find yourself reactive, you just go, okay, stop. I'm going to be the star. I'm going to stop, think, acknowledge, and then respond. So I hope that is helpful.
So easy for the brain to digest, because in those moments of it seems like your survival is obviously challenged. So yeah, we can't think. We're going to go to the reptile brain. So I love that. And I love the gratitude practice, that I'm always being mindful about that. I'm going through something. I'm okay. Personally challenging. And I always go back to that. I'm like, wait a minute, I forgot to be grateful for the things that I have, right? So I think it's just a go-to practice that, yes, it's easy to kind of, I think it's because it's so easy. It's easy to kind of just pass it on the wayside and be like, oh, maybe there's something else that I need to focus on. But yeah, I think that's very, very powerful. And Tara, some tips for community. What can we do to build communities that are aligned, that are engaged, that people are connected to us and the mission?
Yeah. I think the big thing with community is that people will show up and participate where they feel valued. When you can really find significant ways to make the people in your community feel heard, valued, and important, people continue to hang out where they're appreciated. And I think a lot of times people say they want to build community, but actually all they want is an audience. They just want someone to listen to them. Community is taking the spotlight off of you and putting it on your members, on the people who are there. And so really building a community, I think an expert community builder comes in with a servant's heart of how do I serve, versus a spotlight heart of I want all these people to look at me. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you want to do that, go write your blog. People are going to listen to you. But if you want to build a community, then it's really getting in deep, putting the spotlight on other people, having them shine, having them be valued, having them be heard, right? And if that one thing will start to shift how people show up.
Yeah, that's it. That's golden advice right there. Yeah, if you want to caress your ego, maybe you could do other things. But if you want to help and be of service to others in contribution, then think about the people you're serving. I love that advice. Thank you so much, Tara. I love your energy. Thanks again for what you just shared. Awesome. Moving on to my other guest speaker, Taina. Taina, hope I'm not going to butcher your last name, Periniemi.
Almost perfect. Yes, it's Taina Pereniemi. That's a Finnish name, and actually one of the only my family in the world with that name. So no offense taken if it's a little bit difficult to pronounce. Yeah, but super excited to be here all the way from Helsinki, Finland.
Beautiful. So, thank you so much for coming on. Yeah, I love that. That is so unique. That's why I had some trouble.
Yeah.
I love that. That makes you you. So yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So basically what I'm all about is I run a small team that is the leading 5-star rated Notion certified consultancy globally. And what we do is we help coaches and consultants get rid of all the chaos and overwhelm around running their businesses by bringing everything in one place in personalized business systems using Notion. So I'm all about organization, systems, and keeping things simple and streamlined as business owners.
Whoa, we need you. I mean, I love a good system for life and business because it just makes sure that we are working smart and not hard and freeing up our time for the most
For
important.
sure. Yes. Yes.
So share with us, what are some of those things that you have seen, or the education piece of the business systems that you have?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. So, something I thought would be valuable for people listening to this summit today would be maybe to think about what would be the warning signs when you want to be investing more in your systems and thinking of better ways to keep your business organized. Probably any entrepreneur listening to us speak today can raise their hands if they feel like sometimes we have quite a few things to juggle. We have to wear so many different hats at the same time, and there are so many things to take care of and stay on top of. So it's really easy to get overwhelmed and stressed as a business owner, as the CEO of your company. So luckily, that doesn't have to be that way when you put the right kind of systems in place. But how is it that you then recognize when you are at that point in running your business that you need to pay better attention into how you're keeping your stuff organized? So there are 5 really common warning signs that come across when I talk to coaches and consultants. One of them is that when you think about your to-do list, all the tasks and projects that you need to manage, if it's 100 different post-it notes and notebooks and documents that you need to sift through to be able to really see what it is that I need to focus on and prioritize today, that should be one warning sign. You should be able to find all of that information nicely organized so that every day when you sit down in front of your computer, you know exactly what it is that you need to be working on next without having to look around everywhere in your scattered notes and papers. Another thing that I see so many people struggle with is trying to manage everything in their own head, or maybe not everything, but way too much. So then you might find yourself being afraid of falling asleep at night because you're thinking you must be forgetting something that you promised to send someone, something you needed to remember for the first meeting tomorrow morning. So if these kinds of thoughts are constantly circling in your head, like I don't even know what it is that I'm forgetting right now, and it's making me anxious and it's making me feel like not being able to sleep confidently, knowing that things are being taken care of. That is when you should also think about finding better systems to keep track all of that, kind of building your second brain that stays on top of all the moving pieces that you need to keep track of. Another common thing I see entrepreneurs struggle with, especially us coaches and consultants who need to do a lot of the sales work ourselves, is tracking our leads. So way too often people might find might have their leads in different kinds of notes and documents, and not having one consistent way of tracking every prospect in the same place, so that you always have an overview of who you should be next getting in touch with, who's the person who told you 1 month ago that, hey, please come back to me in a month when I'm in a better place and I want to talk again about your services. So if you don't have that kind of overview anywhere, you're sure to be losing on a lot of sales, and you're sure to be wasting a lot of time sifting through different places to find all that information.
Yeah.
And pretty much the same also goes for the client relationships. So when you land that dream client and you start working with them, you don't want to be wasting half of that time just like finding ways to looking for the next steps in your onboarding process, or searching for some lost information and documents. But you need to be able to in a consistent way, track the steps of the process and keep them organized in one place.
Yeah, so much good stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And one final point, one final warning sign is that so often I see people struggle to run their businesses alone, trying to do everything themselves way too long, and it can become a real bottleneck for growth. So as soon as you start having some steady flow of clients, you should be thinking of what are the things that I can delegate to someone else? What are the things where I'm not the best person to do it? Or even if I were, I might be using my time more wisely in my core expertise in serving my clients. So that is when you want to have a way to also facilitate that kind of team collaboration, document your processes, standard operating procedures. And that is also something where having a system where things are neatly organized becomes really, really, really critical.
Yeah. Well, all good stuff. I could relate to so much of that. And I've seen that in my day-to-day work as well, with time management being one of the, the challenging things as entrepreneurs and as founders and company builders. So a system for life and business sets you free. So I've learned to
Yes.
very addicted to processes and systems in life, because again, it's also that the way that you can achieve more, be more productive, right? And also be, I think the productive thing sometimes, takes us back to maybe the human doing part, but also just be purposeful with the things you're doing. You don't have to be all over the place. You don't have to be chasing all these different things. But yeah, a good system around you definitely helps free up a lot of that time. Thank you so much, Taina.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Elona.
Beautiful. Thank you so much again to all our amazing speakers so far. I mean, I'm just taking notes. Like when I put them on the stage, I was like writing all these amazing nuggets. I hope that it's doing the same effect for you listening to us today. And then hopefully moving on to my next beautiful speaker here, Elif Kosei. Elif, thanks so much for coming on. It was great to see you again, and welcome.
Hi, Elona. I don't know if you can hear me well, but I see myself frozen on the screen. I tried to fix my camera, but I don't know if it's working.
I can hear you, and yes, you are frozen. So yeah, maybe if you could just talk to us, we can hear you.
I just put it on and off, and it just keeps coming as a frozen screen, so it's okay. At least there's a smiley face there.
It's a good screenshot. Yes, so we can imagine. We can imagine you. I know you also do amazing work. So let's go for it. I'm sure your message will definitely be transparent and go into the right place. So
it is. First of all, thank you so much for having me here. It's such an honor to be on the stage with such incredible women who are doing such beautiful work, and it's all aligned with what I am doing. It's first of all, it's so honoring to be in time in the century of women who are on a mission to make a difference in the world and help all the other women. And I feel like it's not coincidence that we all came at the same time and we're doing the work we're doing. And I just feel the ripple effect of what we're doing is going to create so much healing in the world, especially what's happening for the last few weeks, as you know, following from the news. It's real terrible. And what we're doing, I think, is we're healing the generations, and generations needs healing. And some of my fellow coaches here, they all use similar modalities that I use, like breath work, motivate, like NLP and mindfulness and all kinds of things. And I feel like we have been, as generations, traumatized, and there is a lot of unexpressed and emotions and unreleased traumas is within us and within the people of the world, especially seems to be the country controllers, that we need to heal more and more people and create this ripple effect of healing in the world. And as a coach myself, what I do is I help people who feel stuck and who feel that they want for more, they deserve more, they're worthy of more, but they can't seem to move forward. And it often comes down to our conditionings, or what we've learned, how we grew up, what we've been taught we can or we cannot have. I mean, I'm a mother to a 5-year-old, as you know, and every day I wish I could record every conversation I have with my son, because how he is needing explanation of how he needs to learn to communicate better, how he needs to take responsibility when things go wrong. And this is same even for 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds. We have grown up and conditioned to blame others for things we don't have. And we seem to blame other people for the problems we have faced, and blaming why we don't have it, why we cannot have it, why you're working your ass off and you're still not where you want to be. And I just feel it's bullshit. These are all the excuses you give yourself not to work on yourself hard and be committed to work you're doing. And I see these women, I feel so touched how they're working hard to really remind everyone, with no fear of like being intimidated by other women on the same industry, helping others. And you're one of those leaders, Elona, bringing people together and having us on this stage to literally say, this is what leadership looks like. This is the leadership looks like, how you accumulate, collaborate, and make a bigger impact in the world, rather than be fearful and be bitchy and be scary of one another. And I just feel we have more work to do.
Yeah, well, Alif, even though we couldn't see the moving motions, moving pictures,
I'm sorry.
the message is so loud and clear and so relevant with all the world events going on. And you talked about your son, and I speak about parenting very often as well in my content, that, you know, how do we navigate? I think if we are not aware of our own stuff as parents, then how is it that we can help our kids navigate all these world events? Because they have questions, right? And this is the chance that we don't give them another trauma, and we try to, we really are aware on how to process this information for them, so that
well, as you know, I'm a fashion designer, well, formerly full-time fashion designer, who has helped women for over 15 years with their confidence, with their outfits, how they looked, how they carried themselves. I used to even marvel about how your outfit made a huge difference. You had to invest in it, and how much it would help your confidence. Yes, it has a huge impact how you look, what you wear, and what your lipstick color is, and what your hair looks like. It has a huge impact on your confidence, but it's only one piece of the puzzle. If you don't have inner confidence when you go back home, when there's nobody's watching, when there's nobody hearing, do you feel confident? Are you proud of yourself? And this is why I went into this personal journey, and to remove all those traumas within myself, because I come from Turkey. I have had such a strict upbringing, and being molested as a child, and haven't even spoken to myself about it. I was afraid, as if somebody's gonna hear me, and I would, I was ashamed of what had happened to me. And it took me a long time, thanks to so many coaches like ourselves who have helped me get out of that.
Yeah. Well, aligning the inner world with the outer world is absolutely the way to go. So I admire your work. Thank you so much for everything that you do out there in the world, and thank you so much for sharing what you just did with us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I hope to be in touch with everybody here. Although you couldn't see me moving, I was waving and smiling.
Absolutely. And that is one of our asks always in our summits, or at least mine. It's always about those beautiful relationships that we get to build. And this was just the first step to start a conversation, but
Yeah,
definitely connect with one another and build that know, like, and trust is so needed for any human relationship. So,
Totally. Thank you.
thank you again. And moving on to my next speaker, Kat Cooley. I know we had a problem with the audio, but I think hopefully I can hear you now, Kat. Welcome.
hopefully so. Thank you so much. Could you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate being here, hearing all of your wonderful stories. So I'm Kat Coley, and I am a business storyteller coach and transformation coach. And I use our personal stories to capture our audience and be able to authentically sell to them, basically kind of connect with them on a authentic level using our own personal stories. So I got to this point for, like many of you, use because of my own personal story as well. And I always say that coaching and consulting chose me, and I didn't necessarily choose it. I spent 20 plus years in the corporate world, and I came and had my own fall from grace, so to speak. It was actually a huge fall from grace. And after I came out of that situation, I started to think about what I had just gone through, and that maybe there was a reason I'd gone through what I had just done. I had gone through, and it was just so everyone knows, it was a self-inflicted situation. I caused all the commotion that happened in my life, and I found myself wondering, what do I do from here? Do I hide, which is what everyone thought I would do and expected me to do? Or do I start forging a new path? And so I started to share my story only because I really, it was just to take the pressure off of me and just to get it off of my chest. And I was starting to get then invited to these smaller circles of women entrepreneurs who I'd never been around because I spent most of my time in corporate. And I was invited to share my story in a smaller capacity, and then I was invited to share it in a panel. And then just more and more people wanted to hear my story. And again, this wasn't an act situation where anything happened to me. I created the chaos that happened in my life, and then subsequently changed the path of my life and my family's life. And I needed to start owning this story, as ashamed and embarrassed as I was about it. And so I shared from that standpoint. And then kind of came this fork in the road where I thought maybe I'm meant for something more. Maybe this story that I'm so embarrassed and ashamed of is part of that. And the universe decided to make up my mind for me when I was asking, what direction do I need to go? The position I was in at the time eliminated my position, my job. And that was the answer that I needed. That was the push that I've been asking for. I didn't have the courage to let that job go because it was financial security for me and my daughter. And the universe just decided, okay, well, if you're not going to make the decision, I will make it for you. I will eliminate the position, and you will not need to make this decision. So I did. And I jumped headfirst into coaching and consulting with the emphasis of sharing our stories. And from there, I have been, my story has been written in books. I published it. I'm in the process of publishing and story again now in another book. I speak on stages about it. And then I help my clients now, mostly women entrepreneurs, share their own personal journeys and their own stories and how they can embed that message to the end goal of what they're wanting their clients to do and change and transform, and also the goal of their clients. So we all have our own superpower. As I always say, the magic is always inside of us. And we just need to be brave enough and courageous enough to step into that and own it. Whatever it may be, we just need to own it. And that is also the reason why the transformation happens. and why I say I'm a business storyteller and transformation coach, because once I see the power in our stories, and once you really own that and accept it and move on and move on to the other side, that is when that transformation happens. And I see my clients really go from one end of the spectrum to another once we really capture their stories.
No, yeah, absolutely. Well, you embody that. Just by the way you just introduced yourself, you're absolutely storytelling and captivating the audience right then and there. A beautiful word for sure. I mean, storytelling is how we connect as humans, and relating it to business as well. I think it's absolutely powerful. So, Kat, give us a few. I guess a few steps in the framework around storytelling that maybe you've written about in your books that you can also serve our audience with, that you think will be helpful to somebody that might need to become a better storyteller in their business, overall, to build their brand.
Absolutely. I did an engagement a couple of weeks ago where I spoke, and without presentation, and I typically do presentation, but for this particular audience, it was women entrepreneurs. I wanted them to really see what it was like to really tell a story and not have with their audience in mind and what they want them to do. So the framework here is it's the 5 C's, and there's nothing to do with Cat, although I am Cat with a C, but it's clarity. It's understanding what your stories are. And so basically jumping into the story and finding out through some deep work that we do, what is the clear story that you want to share with your audience. And I always say this, and I know I heard it from somebody, I certainly didn't come up with it, but we always want to share our stories from a place of a scar as opposed to a wound. I did not do that process when I first started to share my story, because it was happening. I was sharing it whilst it was all happening. So I don't recommend doing it that way, only because it triggers so many other things. And if you haven't had the time to process those things, then it might set you back. So one is clarity in your story and speaking to it from a place of a scar as opposed to a wound. And then once you start to get clearer and clearer what your stories are, is to start sharing it. The next C which is consistency. So sharing it in small groups, whether that is your friends, that is your community, that is someone that you feel you could trust, that you can start to share that story with. And it doesn't have to be, the full length, just little bits and pieces. And that's when you start to really kind of connect the dots between your story and your end goal. And what that does is the third C, which is build confidence. And it builds on you. The more you start to share that story, the consistency of sharing that story, the clearer things will get for you with the consistency, and the more confident you are in sharing that particular story. And that brings us to the 4th C, which is conversion. So conversion could just be more people start to engage with you, and more people start to follow you if that's what you're looking for, but more people that start to resonate with that particular story. And again, it doesn't have to be a shock and awe story. You don't have to have something traumatizing. A lot of my clients feel as if they have no story. And that, I think, is a total myth. We all have a story in us. We've all gone through something. We got to this particular spot for a reason. And one of the things that we do is we dive into their life experiences and pinpoint the times and places where they've experienced transformation and change. So when you get through all those 4 C's, if you are a business owner, some of my clients just want to share their stories and they have no wish in creating a business around it, but most of my clients are. So if you're a business owner, then comes the clients. And what happens when you start to share from this, I know it sounds cliche, authentic place, but that really what it is. When you start to share from this space, clients naturally will want to come into your world. And the natural progression is, how do I get to know you more? How can I work with you? So those are the natural progression of a client arc. And so when you really start to dive into those 4 frameworks, the 5th one is clients. Clients will naturally come and gravitate towards you, so that we're not selling off the bat. We're not selling from when I'm trying to get clarity. We're selling from when I've gone through the 3 C's: clarity, consistency, confidence, and then conversion and clients. So That's the framework that that I've created. And for those who are talking about systems, I always say that just because you start to share your story, and if you're a business owner, it just doesn't mean that Oprah's going to come knocking on your door. Hopefully one day she will. I also know that there is a system that's behind that. There's a system and a process that requires for that. And if you were to even look at Oprah, when she started to share her story many moons ago, no one was, knocking on her door. She had to knock on everyone else's door and bust through some pretty big doors to get to where she's at today. And that is with consistency and understanding that there's a system and a way to be able to do that. So I am definitely all for sharing stories, but I also know, having spent years in the corporate world, that there has to be a system and a sales process in which to get to that point. So I share that, and I teach my clients how to do that as well.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kat. We all love a good framework, and I agree with building consistency. And if you build a brand, maybe at the beginning you have to go to the people, but once you have built that awareness and you have served and people trust you, then it starts to turn back to you. So that's why it's important to be in this for the long term. So thank you so much for everything you did share with us today. I'm glad our audio got fixed, because
yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thanks again. And moving on to my last two speakers for the day, Val Karasinova. I hope I also said your last name correctly, Val. Welcome.
It's perfect. It's perfect, Elona. No problem at all.
Welcome, Val. Tell us a little bit about you. What is it that you do?
Yeah. So first of all, I'm very thrilled to be here and such amazing speakers. I'm like, oh my goodness, now I'm like even more nervous and stressful before I even started, because I didn't know who would be there. But it's an absolute pleasure, and big congrats for you, Elona, for building such a community around you and attracting such a people to your circle of life. So my name is Val, and I'm passionate, and I'm helping mid-career women to break free from the headless chicken runs by ditching the social pressure and stigma, because I truly believe that we can, as a women, live in a harmony with ourselves, with the world around us. And I do believe that we need to start to say no to the things, to stop being the people pleasers, and gain time for ourselves and for our loved ones, and have more of that instead of running around like a headless chicken.
Yeah. Whoa, that message is powerful. I feel like you're speaking to me, because I think we all go through that period of phase and stage, unless we kind of start aligning and figuring out, how to slow down and how to clarify the values and the things that we want to create in our life, for sure. So love the work that you do, Val. And yeah, I think always, if you speak from the heart and if you share the message that your heart is pulling for the people in your audience, I always find that the right message always comes through as a speaker. So speaking from their heart is absolutely amazing. And the fact that we get to do this nowadays in this global environment is powerful and amazing. Val, what is it that you also, if you could share some of those steps, just like I asked Kat, do you have like your own framework, maybe steps that you can share with someone that resonated with that message, that maybe they can get this process started?
Yeah, I'm absolutely. One of the things that I've noticed a lot being in a corporate world and leaving that all behind now, but one technique that I think majority of the people know and heard, it's a SMART goals, right? Well, now I don't see people, but whoever heard about this and know about this, as a raise your hand to put me in the chat. So the one thing that we hear about the SMART goals, that you need to put your goals and you do it in a smart way and everything is perfect. But how many of us actually was thinking to start something? They all pumped, energized, we hitting the gym 5 times a week. As of Monday, we're starting to eat healthier, going to bed early, waking up early, doing meditation, doing, 5 pages of book to get that in the right mind. We're all pumped, we're driven, we're energized, nothing can stop us. After a while, everything goes down. Your drive, your motivation, it's every time you think about hitting the gym, it starts to be discussion and a persuasion in your mind. Gosh, I need to do it again. It's like an uphill battle all the time. And you dragging yourself just because you have to, you commit it, and after a while you're stopping it. I'm pretty sure majority of the people have been here, especially women, especially mothers or people who are caring about somebody else, a part of children, parents, anybody else. We have way too many responsibilities on our shoulders, way too many commitments that we think about, and we very rarely taking this into account when we're setting our goals and when we're talking about the SMART goals. So the one technique that I love, and when I learned it in my coaching school that I went through, I was absolutely smitten. And it's literally three words. So the acronym is AIM, and A stands for acceptable. So what is your acceptable at this point that you can do without breaking a sweat? The I stands, it's for ideal. So what is your ideal goal, ideal outcome, objectives that you want to have eventually? And M, it's a middle ground. So it's your sweet spot that you do without a little bit stretching from without a breaking a sweat. So from your acceptable one to actually not yet your ideal situation. So it's a little stretch, but not breaking you completely. So you're dragging yourself every time when you need to do it and like kicking yourself in the back if needed. So here's a trick. You need to start with a sweet spot and build your momentum, build your habit, build your confidence of doing the things, because then eventually it's become your middle or acceptable minimum. And then you can adjust your middle spot again. And then you go to your goal even faster and without any issues and without breaking your commitment and without feeling like you again losing something. You again broke your commitment. You again didn't achieve your goal or anything, or you didn't do enough.
Yeah, well, I love that framework, AIM, and it's so easy to remember as well. And yeah, the stretching part of the goal is so important as well, because we grow as humans. I always say that things don't get easier. We just build resilience and skills, and we just do something easier and faster next time around. So it's a process of continuous improvement, always and always and always. Thank you so much, Val. Beautiful information. Thanks so much for being here as well. And my last but not least speaker of the day, Mary Adungbe. I also hope I'm not, but please introduce yourself, Mary. How do I say your last name correctly? Welcome. No, Mary, the audio.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Can you hear me? Okay. It's pronounced Adanibi.
Beautiful.
So I'm Mary. Thank you. I'm Mary Adanibi, and I'm so excited to be here. I've learned a lot from everybody today. I've taken down notes, and I don't know if the audience is taking notes, but I am taking down notes, and really amazing speakers, really amazing message. And this is what I love about when women gather together. We have so much to share. We have so much to give. And I appreciate the platform for us to actually put this out there. So I'm a LinkedIn business coach, and I help coaches and I help business owners use LinkedIn to amplify their visibility, generate leads, and attract ideal clients to their business. I started my LinkedIn journey in 2018. I started by just looking for a job. I was looking for a job. That's what took me to the platform. At that point, I was a digital marketing executive, and I was looking for, because I was transitioning from one job to the other, and I went there. So while I was there, I came across different people who were already far ahead. They were already sharing content. They were building their businesses, and then I was still stuck in the 9-to-5 hustle, and I was in a toxic workplace at the time. So seeing people share their stories, seeing women talk about how they left their corporate job, doing their businesses. It was really inspirational for me. So I started sharing my own story as well on LinkedIn. I was just sharing my journey, sharing about my expertise in the digital marketing space at the time. And in doing that, I was able to get a job as the more I got better at using LinkedIn. I got a job as a LinkedIn specialist in a top IT company, and I took the job. That was in 2019. And while working there, I was working with corporate executives, training the sales team, just helping them use LinkedIn in the company. And while also doing that, I made sure to keep sharing my personal, experiences on LinkedIn. So at that time, I was no longer just sharing about being a digital marketing executive or how to use various digital marketing platforms. I was beginning to share specifically on how people can use LinkedIn, because that was what I was doing in my main job. And the more I shared about that, the more people reached out, the more I found myself creating programs because people were asking questions, people were asking for support. I found myself creating programs. I found myself, holding sessions, and somehow LinkedIn became my side business. And unfortunately, I don't know if I should call it. I don't know. I don't think I've healed enough to say it's fortunate, but unfortunately, the job I was working at still was also a toxic place. Like I was coming from a toxic workplace, and I went into a toxic workplace again. And I actually stayed there for like 3 years, and I was just dealing with it and all of that. But it got to a point because my boss was very toxic. She would emotionally abuse me. She would cross boundaries, and I got tired of it all. At one point, I just tried to remind myself that this is not what you want from your life. I was really depressed. I was very unhappy. I would cry on most nights. It was just a whole mess. So after enduring for a while, I took the bold step and decided, okay, since I already have my LinkedIn coaching side business that I'm doing on the side, why don't I just go into that full time? As long as I would be happy, as long as I won't have to deal with this woman every single day. So I left, and I think that was last year. I left last year, and I'm now doing my business full time. So I'm working with coaches, working with business owners, and it's been amazing. I am in a whole much better place. My mindset is much better. My confidence level is amazing. I'm so proud of myself and my journey. And so that's my journey. And for fun, I love watching movies. Apart from working, I tend to be a workaholic sometimes. But for fun, I love watching movies. I love K-drama. And I love having conversations, chatting with my fiance. So those are the things I do for fun. And that's my journey so far.
Mary, I love your journey, and you have such a diverse background, right? That you bring to the table. And I say nothing is ever wasted, even the situations, the opportunities that didn't turn out the way that you wanted, because it led you to the work you're doing today. I love it. So,
Yeah.
and I got that you are actually very experienced in LinkedIn. So can you share with us very shortly maybe some steps that we can take to utilize this platform to create consistent sales? Because I know that is one of the biggest points for a lot of entrepreneurs. How do we have consistent sales for our businesses?
Okay. So I'm going to try and make it as short as possible. So there are three basic steps, three basic pillars that I teach my clients and I also share about. The first thing you want to do is you want to make sure you have an optimized LinkedIn profile. And in doing that, you want to make sure you make your profile client focused. Make your profile ideal client focused. So that means you need to know who your ideal clients are. You need to know who they are. You need to know their pain points. You need to know the things that keep them up at night. You need to understand them really, really well. You need to really understand them. And you want to make sure you communicate to them through your profile. Now, on your profile, you don't want to make it all about yourself, all about the work, all about yourself. Obviously, you have to put elements of yourself in there. You have to share about your journey. You have to share about your why. But then you want to make sure that you are speaking to your ideal client within your profile. Don't just share about your journey, about all the plenty accolades you've received, or the plenty awards you received. Also, make sure you talk about your client's pain points and the solution you bring to the table. And also, you want to make sure you identify your major call to action. Your major call to action could be to book sales calls. Your major call to action could be to take people to a freebie. Your major call to action could be to take people to your website. So what I'm trying to say is LinkedIn is a platform, right? LinkedIn is a tool. So definitely you if you're using LinkedIn for your business, LinkedIn will definitely not be will not be the end game. It's a means to an end. So what is that end in your business? You want to use LinkedIn as the tool to the end in your business. So if you want to get clients, if you want to get people into your freebie, you need to that's your major CTA, and you want to make sure you highlight that on your profile. Make it clear somewhere on your profile. For instance, if you're looking to book sales calls and you're not booking sales calls, and we go on your profile and we don't even see a link for people to go and schedule a sales call, then you already see that there's a problem there. So that's what you want to make sure of. One, optimize your LinkedIn profile. Make sure it's ID client focused, and make sure to highlight your major CTA at that time. So secondly, you want to intentionally grow and nurture your audience. The keyword there is intentionally, because you don't want to gather too many people, lots of people who are not even your ideal clients. That's what I was doing at the very beginning. I was just, everybody that would connect with me, connecting with different people, because I did not really know who I wanted to be speaking to. So once you know your ideal clients are, you need to be really, really intentional as to who they are and who they are on LinkedIn. What designations are they? What are their job titles on LinkedIn? So you want to find them on LinkedIn and intentionally connect with them. You get to add about 160, 170 people on LinkedIn every week. You want to make sure you make use of those numbers. Connect with at least 160 people every single week on LinkedIn. You can use connection messages. You can connect with them without connection messages, but you want to make sure you are intentionally growing your audience on LinkedIn. That's number one. That's part of number two. Then also intentionally nurturing your audience. Now, how do you nurture your audience? You nurture them by sharing content that showcase your expertise, content that showcases the value you bring to the table, content that showcases your personality, content that showcases your journey. So you want to share content to nurture people. You want to share content to nurture people, and you want to share content to answer some objections that people might have later on about your business. If you get on sales calls, for instance, and people say that they don't understand why they should maybe refine their stories, they don't see the importance of refining their stories, then what you want to be doing is sharing content that speaks to that, so that people will have that answer already in your content. So before they get to your sales calls, that question is already answered in your content. So nurture your audience. And in nurturing your audience, besides sharing content, you also need to be utilizing events or live streams. Live streams, either audio events or video events, they are very powerful. I say that every time I go live, I generate leads, whether for guest speaking, whether for podcasts, or people who are reaching out to me to ask to book calls with me. Anytime I go live, I generate leads. Anytime I go live, I have conversations with people. So in nurturing your audience, am I taking too long?
Mary, I love this is all amazing information for sure. But yeah, I mean, there's so much that you can do on the platform. However, being intentional on the platform is really important to do. And also, I love that you share that, don't just use it to share your accolades, just use it to serve and that it really is very important in building a brand. Thank you so much, Mary, and I'm sure that you'll send information and the work that you're doing. And we actually have reached that end here in our summit today. So I just want to go back to all our speakers and applaud them for everything that they shared with us, and also ask them actually one final message around the book. If you are an author, as a speaker, if you could share with us in one sentence, because we are closing out, what is the main message of your book? If you're multi-author, just like myself, then you choose one of your books that you have written and share with us one message. Or if you're not an author yet, if you were to write one, what would be your final message? And also, where is it that people can continue the conversation with you? So 2 sentences so that we wrap up our summit here at the end. Beata. Oh, you are muted.
So sorry. Hi. I don't have a book yet, but if I had one, it would be on integrity. The clarity, the connection that we need with ourselves internally and then externally with the world is all about how we follow our own message, how we connect with our message, how clear we are with our message, and how we can control our being in the outside world versus what is internally expressed. So it will be all about integrity and how does this apply into all of our relationships and all of our client work and all of our internal power builder system.
Beautiful. Beata, where is it that people can connect with you? Where can they continue the conversation?
I am on LinkedIn. I am on Instagram. I am on Facebook, and the name you see is the name you can find everywhere. And on Instagram, I'm at BZ Coaching, but my name will get you anywhere on all of the platforms. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I will share all the links. So, you don't have to hunt for all the speakers. They will have all the links digitally placed everywhere the summit will be airing. Thank you so much, Beata. Taina.
Hey. Yeah, I don't have a book out yet, but definitely if I were to write one, it would be about how to build your all-in-one system using Notion, all in one place. That's something I will be definitely writing about more at some point. And what comes to where you can reach out to me and find more about our business, I have a website that carries my name. And then you can also find my Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook profiles by probably Googling me would be easiest.
Beautiful. Thanks so much. Mari?
Yes, hi. I have one last, and you can elevate your life when you live non-judgmental and assume your responsibility and lead with your heart and walk your path, practicing gratitude. So that would be what I would include in a book if I would just write about it. Tomorrow I'm going to be having a session. It's based on healing post-pandemic stress, and it's a group session. It's going to be at 10 in the morning. And if you want to go to healingfirefly.com/group, you can register there. I also, you can reach me on Facebook, Instagram at Healing Firefly. My business is healingfirefly.com, so you can reach me out there. And if you want you want to have a free conversation with me, you can go into the website or Instagram, the messenger, and get me through there. I'm open to talk, answer questions, and, even explain what energy healing is about, because some people don't really understand it. So,
yeah, absolutely. That's why actually continuing the conversation with everyone would be a great start, so that you get the resources that are available for sure for each of our amazing speakers. Thank you so much, Mari. Tara?
So I have a few books. They're all a little bit niche, but the one that is actually coming out next week is a workbook called Level Up Your Leadership. It's for women who want more. And if you want to build your leadership, to find out what kind of leader you are, how you lead, what your strengths are, that would be great. We're doing a series actually that starts next week. You can find me either at heygirlyoucan.com. And if you want to get plugged into our community, heygirlyoucan.com is where to do that. Or just Tara G, because nobody's going to say my last name. So just TaraGonline.com.
All right. Clear enough. Thanks so much, Tara. Val?
I don't have books, but I have two small sentences. The first one is, "You are enough, and I'm proud of you." That would be definitely potentially the number one of the book. And the other one is, "If you're searching for the one person who will change your life, look in the mirror," which was quoted by Mel Robbins.
Love that.
And if people would like to connect with me, I'm normally in LinkedIn, and I'm using it for most of the time. And you can find me with the name as you see on the screen.
All right. Thanks so much, Val. Kat?
So I'm in the process of writing a book, or also in a book, but the next one, which is not going to be this one, I would say, is "Your Story is Your Superpower." So that is basically the title of that book. And you can find me mostly on Instagram at The Real Kat Coley. So if you want to continue the conversation, that's where I'm mostly at.
Beautiful. Thanks so much, Kat. And finally, Mary.
If I was to write a book, I don't have one yet. I think the major message I would like to share is you can do whatever you can. If you decide, you can be whoever you want to be. You can do whatever you want to do. You are way capable. It's just going to take a lot of work from you and a lot of consistency and patience, but you can definitely do whatever you set your mind to. And you can find me on LinkedIn, Mary Adanipe, my name. Search for me on LinkedIn and you can find me there.
All right, there you go. Definitely all connect. Thank you so much to all my amazing speakers who have reached the end. I'm going to close out the summit today, and you'll find the summit on our social media platforms and also on our YouTube channel. I want to thank again all our speakers for coming on, and I'm also always looking for amazing speakers that want to come in and share their message with the world and our audience. So thank you so much for coming, and I will see you next time in another beautiful summit and another beautiful panel of speakers. Bye, everybody. Have a good rest of your week.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
I want to share with you the 4 books that would change your life personally and professionally. So the first book is Connecting the Dots Backwards, one of the books I've written that will help you connect the dots between your past, your present, and your future life vision. You will find topics in there around marketing, sales, spirituality, relationships, all the areas that you need to be fulfilled as a human being. The second book that I've written, which is a journal, accompanies the Connecting with the Dots book. And this journal will help you apply the information that you learn in the book into a journal. It has self-guided questions that you can go through and into to get the clarity that you need to discover your values, your vision, and your mission. This is a journal attaching the book as well. And then Purpose Driven Entrepreneurship is my latest book where I have included my legacy framework in building legacy businesses, everything from mindset, branding, marketing, sales, systems, and team. And I have connected all the dots between all those areas so that you have the fundamentals that you need to build a truly legacy empire. And then my latest creation is the Focus on Purpose Planner for increased productivity and efficiency, where I have included a framework around your productivity where you can plan ahead, work on purpose, and leave amazing impact on the planet with your work. You can find any of my books on the website below, elonaloparicoaching.com books. And definitely grab your copy. Let me know, leave me a review on Amazon, and let me know how this book has impacted you and changed your life.